That was the garbage truck coming through. There was not enough room for the two of us, so I had to slide my bike over here and stop my vlog so that I could get out of the way. So yeah, we're in the country. These little back roads, man, they twist and turn, they go everywhere. You definitely need Google Maps. So yeah, I've got some translated things on my phone in case of an emergency. I can always call my wife if she can hustle out here. I'm not far from home. On a motorbike to get to where I am now from the house, 20 minutes, 25 minutes top. There's this little suspension bridge here, which is kind of weird. I'm not quite sure how to get to it, but it's kind of interesting. So like I was telling you, man, you know, this is your natural Vietnam. This is what Bourdain and other tourists and dickweed tourists and people that visit Vietnam, they never get out back here. You have to be, you have to have roots. You have to actually live in Vietnam and outside of the fucking tourist areas where they all congregate to get a full measure of experience. These old back roads out here in the country, man, you've got simple people living simple lives, you know, but good people, friendly, kind, you know, they'll help you out in a pinch, even if you don't speak Vietnamese. There's a corral here for some cows. And this reminds me, and I've heard this said before, so this is not an original statement. Two things. One is they said when you retire overseas to a distant land, in a foreign land where you don't speak the language and you've never been before, it's like a new adventure. And when you arrive, like I did and I do, you feel like you're 15 years old again. And you're exploring and, you know, everything is like newish and it's fresh and it's a wonderful experience. I feel that way. Number two is the reason it reminds me of the old days back in America, and I'm an old fella, so I go way back to the 60s and 70s when I was growing up. Look at this little creek. See this little creek here, the water is clean and it's flowing through here. This is like a little canal system to feed the rice. Now there's no rice season occurring right now. This is all grass that is growing where rice is normally grown. So one thing I've come to understand being out here is normally at the end of a rice season, they do the burn, which they did the burn, as you saw in some of my previous vlogs. Then they'll turn the soil over and they'll flood it and then like almost get the tractor with the paddles on it and blop, 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 blop. They'll churn it up to where it's like a surrey, like, and then they'll throw rice seeds or they'll plant rice shoots and grow a tremendous new crop. Well, they haven't turned that over or done any of that process this season. They're gonna wait until the rainy season is over and things dry out. And then what they'll do, hang on a second. Old grandmother, a lot of old grandmothers like that on bicycles everywhere in Vietnam. A lot of shit gets transported like that. It's amazing what they will transport. So I digress, but I wanted to make sure you guys saw that. Oh, so let me get back to my train of thought. So they're not going to do anything in terms of turning this over and prepping a new rice crop until after the rainy season, sometime in late December. They'll get the new crop in. They'll start they'll be back out here working again. For now, it's like 3 months off for these folks. You know, I don't know what they do when the rice season isn't happening. But what I love, one of the other things I love about being out here is just the scattering of homes. Unlike the cities and areas just outside the cities here in Vietnam, it's not all jam-packed full of houses and people and chaos and, you know, that whole craziness that when people do look at vlogs or travel vlogs about Vietnam, they get a wrong impression that Vietnam is just filled with craziness and noise and no peace and quiet. But to get into that heart of the country, you have to move out of those areas, which I was fortunate enough to do, and just get out here and explore. Let me get back to this creek. That's where I was. The reason I feel like I'm 15 and I'm reminded of when I was a kid back in America before it got all fucked up. You know, we used to have shit like this. Not that I lived in the country, I didn't. But you could go, it wasn't as densely populated. When I was a kid, there were probably 2.5 billion people on the planet when I was growing up, between the ages of 0 and let's say 18, not the 7 billion plus that we have today. So you could go out around your house back in the day before everything was developed, and, you know, they put up a shopping mall, you know, everywhere. And you could find little creeks like this as a kid to have some fun in. Now, there are little fish in here, there are crustaceans, I'm sure there are frogs, there are little crabs, and you can have a blast out here just screwing around these little creeks as a boy and as a girl, if you're hanging out and want to do stuff like that. And you can come here and you can screw around all the way along. You can walk and catch crabs and crawdads and little shrimps and all kind of stuff, and look at little fish and stuff. I mean, you know, this is freaking awesome. These canals, they have so many of them here in Vietnam. And like, Vietnam's got fish everywhere. If I see a puddle and I'm like, there's probably fish inside of it. It's crazy. I'm going to continue on. When I get to the forested area, I'll do another vlog. Let me talk about a couple more things before I close out. Oh, they're so busy with traffic. Oh my God. That's a joke. They're working on this temple over here. They're either, yeah, there's some structures back there. They're either working on it or it's new. There's some graves over there. And then look at this little farmhouse right here. You know, just very calm and quaint and content. And, you know, I see a few pieces of equipment back there. And, you know, it's a sturdy little house. And there's a little, some kind of equipment shed, farm equipment shed right there. And they're working on building up that temple. And, you know, just refurbishing it and stuff like that. And you got birds jumping around. You got that cool little bridge back there. You got a smattering of houses over here, back in there as well. And then you've got, of course, the mountain views. You can turn around and see mountains and stuff like that. So it's really cool. It's really nice. I really love it. And I wanted to stop here in the middle of nowhere and just talk about a few things like that. I do feel very good about life when I'm out here, because it's just really idyllic now that we got out of Hoi An. I did enjoy Hoi An. I loved Hoi An. I'm still very fond of it, but it's been utterly ruined by tourism now. So forget that. Now I'm out here in a new adventure, experiencing new things, something a little bit different. Something a little slower and a little milder and a little more enjoyable, more up my alley, if you want to put it that way. I love bike riding, I love exploring, I like fishing, and I like relaxing and reading and, you know, just visually looking around at shit. So here I can't get enough of that because there's so much, I'll never cover it all. So let's move on, my friends, and let me get to this forest area and see what the hell that's all about. And I'll continue then.